शन्नो मित्रस्य वरुणः शन्नो भवत्पर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतो वक्तारमवतो अवतो माम् अवतो वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Yesterday evening we have understood the scope of what the masters want us to understand and try to follow in life. As I told you yesterday, there is less to know and understand, more to do and follow in the path of the master. So to say, there is more practical side than theory and more of practice than of philosophy and more of the practice in the daily life than in the temple or church or in the mosque. And I also told you that they consider all the religions as training schools to make the man enter into the way of life. They make us understand what is life and what is death, what is birth and what is death, and what is that which is in between, which we call span of life, and how we are expected to spend this span of life so that it may be meaningful in the sense that it is livable and continuously pleasant. To make it pleasant for a day or two is quite different, but to make it continuously pleasant and livable is something which requires a path to follow, and this path presupposes the understanding of the following aspects: birth, death, span of life, and where from we come before our birth, where to we go after our death, why it is there is the inevitability of death, why there is suffering, what is the meaning and purpose of suffering, and how best we can utilize the aspect of suffering. These are mainly the aspects, and when we want to meet these questions with answers, we are expected to know the following sciences. If we want answers to these questions not on the theoretical level but as solutions to our own problems, then we are expected by the masters to go into the following branches of science: the science of the laws of nature, and how to differentiate between man-made law and the law of nature, how not to confuse man-made law with the law of nature and to have a clear understanding of a few of the laws of nature. The law of cause and effect, the law of pulsation, the law of periodicity, the law of continuity and break of existence. Of course, each of these have many branches of science for us to study, but it requires a longer time to make a systematic study of all the branches. Seminars for 3 or 4 days are not enough, and conferences are intended only to expose the syllabus of the masters to our mind. No use of trying to go into the lessons, but it has its own use. When once we expose the syllabus of the masters to our mind, we can understand if our mind wants them or not, or we have to wait for some time, or which branch of these sciences our mind is inclined to know for the present, and then it is useful for us to pick up that particular branch in which we are interested. Interest not in the sense of curiosity, but in the sense of an attitude of continuity to know. So, our 4 days seminars of the afternoons have their own value, but the purpose is to expose the syllabus of ancient wisdom. Not only ancient, it is also the eternal wisdom, because it is not going to change, because it deals with the laws of creation, the laws of cosmogenesis, how the cosmos came into existence, and the stages of cosmogenesis. That is, how the solar systems come into existence, how the planets come into existence, and how the atoms on each planet come into existence with the help of those intelligences whom we call devas. And then the journey of these atoms through the 4 stages, that is the mineral, plant, animal and human, and after once they reach the stage of the human soul, to understand the internal planes of consciousness of the human being and to understand the tendencies of the lower principles and the truths of the higher principles, because the higher principles have no tendencies, they are above tendencies and above psychology and above individuality, above personality. Therefore, we are expected to understand all these things, and as a human being we are expected to know our duties to our neighbors, to our relatives and friends, to those of the lower kingdoms, to remove our ignorance, because out of our ignorance we believe that they are lower kingdoms. For example, the minerals and the plants and animals are considered as lower than the human kingdom. Until this ignorance is washed off from our minds, we are expected to make a study and application of these aspects. So, let us make a beginning and proceed a little bit into the subject. And the very fact that you are pleased to give me the time for seminars different from the conferences in the night, it proves somehow that you are interested to go a little bit deep into the matter, and I sincerely believe that you don't mind if I go a little bit deeper into the matter in the seminars than in the conferences of the night, because generally my experience of 30 years teaching of the subject, it teaches me that classes are more useful than conferences. In the sense, classes have a sequence in teaching and learning in accordance with the practical difficulties of the understanding of the human mind, whereas conferences have another and a different type of value, that is to rouse the interest of the beginners also sometimes, which may sometimes involve the emotional aspect also. Whereas the seminars or the classes do not essentially involve any emotional aspect, because the purpose involves 3 steps. The 3 steps are as follows: to know, then to see or experience, and then to enter into it, and then finally to offer oneself to the subject we have learnt. When only the subject becomes ours. Otherwise, if we only try to learn and understand, it will be only as useful as the university classes and subjects. We can purchase education in the universities, and we can purchase certificates and degrees in the universities, but we cannot purchase wisdom, because the difference between learning and wisdom is that learning involves possessing the subject, in which process we continue to be different from the subject we have learned till we die. If I want to possess some article, I cannot be the article, and the article cannot be myself. The very fact that we want to possess something proves that we want to be different from what it is. We don't like to get ourselves identify with the subject we have learned. That is what is called learning, which is different from wisdom. Wisdom is self-unfoldment. It is a process which can be compared with that of a bud becoming a blossom. A bud cannot possess its blossom state. It cannot pick up the flower state and pocket to itself. It should be prepared to lose itself into the state of the flower. Unless it accepts to have an ending of the bud state, it cannot have the blossom state. So in every respect, it should be prepared to offer itself and get lost in what it wants. Another difference is learning requires a strong individuality and a strong personality. Without it, learning is not possible. Whereas wisdom requires a total offering of the individuality and the personality. Until one can learn how to be impersonal, the wisdom of the about which the masters speak is not possible. Therefore, the 4th or the last step is the culmination of wisdom. And now we try to go into 1 or 2 of these laws. There are certain basic truths in nature, without knowing which we cannot understand the nature of the creation, without knowing which we cannot understand the nature around us. The nature around us should be understood on the background of the nature of creation, and then we can know the nature of our earth, and then we can know the human nature. Then we have the possibility of knowing the nature of the group to which we belong, and then the nature of our individuality. That is our nature, which can be compared with our signature or handwriting, which differs from every other person. And then we should use this nature, individual nature, as a key to enter into the wider nature once again. Just as we use our signature to conduct something useful in the world. Now, if we try to visualize how the earth is rotating on its own axis, how there is night and day alternating with us, then we come to know of the first law we are expected to study. It is the law of alternation. Day cannot continue without night. Night cannot continue without day. And there is no light without darkness, no darkness without light. We can understand the pairs simply because they exist in pairs. Otherwise, we could not have understood their existence at all. This is what is called the law of alternation in nature. It gives us the understanding of the law of continuity. If something were to continue, it should inevitably have alternation, without which nothing can continue even for a split second. For example, the alternation of day and night is making it possible to make the 7 days of the week, and then the 30 days of the month, and then the 365 days of the year. And we know how the seasons change. We know how one sunrise differs from the other, though we have seen many thousands of sunrises till now, and how the experience of one day differs from the experience of any other day, so that no 2 days in our life are similar. Though we can call them similar, they are not identical. And then the year can exist only because of this law of alternation. Without alternation, there is neither day nor the year. And in between also, it is only the alternation that is working. See how the moon increases through half month. How there is the full moon. For example, today and tomorrow we are having the full moon. And then how the moon decreases from the next day until it makes a total disappearance. And again there is the reappearance of the moon. So we have only once again the alternation. And we, the part of the whole creation, can never understand ourselves away from the total creation, though our ignorance makes us understand as separate individuals. So essentially, we also show in us all these stages we see around us. For example, we feel like sleeping after a duration of activity, and after a duration of sleep, automatically we wake up. Of course, we cannot wake up from sleep, but wakeful state comes to us and it calls us into consciousness. More correctly, it makes us sleep and it makes us wake up. So we have the sleep and the wakeful state in alternation, without which we have no span of life or continuity of existence. If at all we are to live or continue on this earth, we are permitted to continue only by an alternation of sleep and wakefulness. And then see how the respiration is also a process of alternation. That is, we cannot inhale without exhalation and we cannot exhale without inhalation. No one cannot be continuously inhaling because he has a great love for oxygen. No one cannot continue to exhale because he has a great dislike for carbon dioxide. This automatically proves that life has nothing to do with our likes and dislikes. And unlike our likes and dislikes, life is a truth into which someday or other we are forced to enter by growing above our likes and dislikes. And see how until then we create our own pain and sorrow and suffering, only to make the process painful, only to stop and think the purpose and meaning of pain. And then through the pain we understand what we have to do and what we should not do, because our own doing causes comfort and our own undoing causes pain to ourselves. And for some time we are mistaken to think that others are causing us great discomfort or pain or sorrow or suffering. And in our mistaken idea, we try to seek for the causes elsewhere than ourselves. For example, the planets, who are in reality our guides and who are helping us. Sometimes in our enemies, we try to find enemies among human beings. Sometimes we create an imaginative substance called circumstances, and we wish to believe that it is the circumstances that are causing us trouble. And for some time we search outside, where we find only our shadows, and we deceive ourselves by thinking these shadows as somebody else, and then come to the right understanding, and then find the meaningfulness of the pain we have, and then try to rectify our own procedure and behavior. And then we understand how to be happy. So if we make a closer study of what we call the duration of time, There is no duration without alternation. There is no respiration without alternation. There is no heartbeat without alternation. You know that heartbeat is double in its nature. One beat invites the whole blood into the heart. Another beat sends the blood from the heart into the vascular system, making it possible to have a continuity of heartbeat. See how the same law holds good in everything. This is only an example of the many laws that are working in nature, different from our intellectual and emotional aberrations and falsehoods we create. So, by trying to understand these laws, we will be able to clear off the intellectual and emotional aberrations when the sheet of our understanding becomes clear, so that the masters may present a new law on the sheet for us to understand. See how the same law of alternation holds good in bigger cycles. After certain span of life, we go into a state called death, about which we make many imaginations, many stories, and many types of heaven and hell, which is nothing but our own imagination and fairy tale and story. Everyone has his own heaven and hell created for himself and by himself. And then there is a duration after death about which we do not know practically anything, after which we wake up once again as if from sleep into a new and tender body, the body of a child. Again, how we grow and have a duration or a span of life, and again how we go into death. Then we understand the law of alternation is working in bigger cycles also, and then we come to understand that this law is inevitable. Same thing holds good to the planet Earth on which we are living. The Earth has its own birth and its own span and its own death. Every planet has its own birth, its own span and its own death. And the sun of our solar system in toto has his own birth, his own span and his own death. And that there are as many solar systems as there are living beings on our Earth planet. Every solar system has its own birth, span and death, just as every one of us has his own birth, span and death. And every death is only a process of transformation which has a double purpose. One purpose is recovery, reinforcement, refreshment and reabsorption of the required energies, just as we do in our sleep. Of course, we do not do because we sleep and we do not know. The lungs respire of their own accord when we are sleeping like dogs, and the heart pulsates and circulates blood when we are sleeping like cows and bulls. So, our mind and our knowledge and our understanding are of no use for us to live on this earth. Our understanding is useful only for certain purposes, that is, to possess things and persons, to create likes and dislikes, and to gather some information in the name of education, to create head load and hypertension in the name of education, and to enjoy the taste of food, drink, sleep and sex. But for these things, our wakeful intellect is not at all useful for higher purposes. For example, when there is some trouble to the respiration or circulation of the heart, our intellect has no value at all to save us from the trouble, including the intellect of the best physician, doctor and the healer, because he is also a helpless human fellow like ourselves, who is sleeping while his lungs are breathing. So, this is the limitation of our intelligence and intellect. And when we make a pondering over our own sleep, we understand that we are sleeping, and we different from the person who is sleeping, there is some more person in us who is not sleeping, who is conducting the functions of respiration and heartbeat, and also the functions of digestion. For example, if Krishnamacharya eats potatoes and sleeps, the digestive system can never sleep. The fellows go on working in the digestive system, so that by the time the next morning the fellow wakes up, the digestive system has done its duty. So the fellows who are working in the digestive system office can never sleep. If they sleep, if the persons in the respiratory office sleep, if the fellows in the heart beat and circulation begin to sleep with us, what will be the result? The moment we sleep, we die, and we will be taken